Looks like you're got a hobble in there.
Oh, I'm still fighting something from about 18 years ago. I had a brain tumor
Right.
and survived it, but it just left me partially paralyzed on my right side. So I've been limping for 17 years, and I don't mind it because I'm still here. So.
Oh, I guess I didn't notice it quite as much back when you were campaigning last spring and summer and fall.
Yeah, we cheated. We had the electric golf cart to get around in. So I'd have the rest of the crew go door knocking on foot, and I'd go up right up to the sidewalk and then take a few steps to the door, and that cart came in handy. We made a lot of things easier for me, and got to knock on a lot more doors, talk to a lot more people.
Before we get to the special session and the legislative session period, your impressions of our Memorial Day observance on Monday?
Yeah, I was just going to say that I wanted to thank you for emceeing the event down at the park. That was really nice. Nice to honor our men and women who have sacrificed the ultimate sacrifice to give us our freedoms to do that. So thank you for emceeing that, and I thought it was great. We had I'm not sure how many entries in the parade, but it was just fantastic. We had all the fire trucks all lined up, and county commissioners there, and that was wonderful. I just enjoyed it. And it wasn't raining. It was the first time in about 3 days it hadn't rained, so that was even better yet.
Yeah, the prayers worked.
Yes.
Because everybody was praying that it wouldn't rain on the parade or on the observances there in Central Park or the flag raising up at the courthouse. All of it worked very, very well. Mr. Kirkpatrick had a terrific message too, I thought.
Yeah.
He put it all in perspective.
Yeah.
When he listed the names of those people in his unit that were no longer with us.
Exactly. People just kind of tend to forget. They see it in the newspaper one day and they forget about the next day, and they go on with their lives, which is why they sacrifice their lives, is so we can go on with our everyday routines. But I think Memorial Day should be more than just one day of the year.
Brian Daniels is with us. He's District 24B State Representative, representing. Again, can you go over your district for me, Brian?
You bet. It's Faribault is about as far as the north we go, and then it goes down as far as Ellendale and Claremont. That'd be kind of the southern, east, and west borders.
But doesn't include Owatonna.
But it goes around Owatonna. It's kind of a strange thing, and it goes to Bloomin' Prairie, but right around the city limits of Bloomin' Prairie. So it's a strange district. Keeps us busy on the roads. It's about a 40-mile trip, I think, to get down to Ellendale, but it's all the interstate, so it's easy to get down there. And we had a lot of fun last year knocking on doors, just visiting with people. It was a really eye-opening experience for me, so I'm very, very pleased we got to do that.
Well, it was your first legislative session. How did that go?
You know, during our 3-day training session, he said instead of like drinking out of the water faucet, this is like drinking out of a fire hose, and they really got it right on the head. That's really what it is. There's so much information. There's so many things happening. They're just moving pieces all the time. And then I had to learn all the, the floor etiquette, everything from how to use our new computers.
You actually have etiquette on the floor? I've been up there when they haven't had
etiquette. Yeah, sometimes it's a rarity, but a lot of times somebody will bring us back to earth, and Representative Garofalo will stand up and say, this is a sacred place, and we need to follow the rules and make sure we use it properly. And I admire him for doing that. But it was a really good first session. I had a wonderful legislative assistant. Nolan was my LA, and he helped me craft about half a dozen bills. 4 of those are still going through. A couple have been signed off. One is the funding for computers, technology for the deaf school, and that's in the K-12 bill. So I'm a little concerned about that since he vetoed that bill. I'm hoping we'll still get our funding for the schools. But yeah, I've had, I think for my very first time there, a good positive session. We got a lot of good work done. I'm a little astounded by the numbers of bills that came through. There was around 2,430 bills that were introduced. And my sister, Representative O'Neill, the first couple of weeks, I tried to read all the bills. I tried to get involved in everything, and I was kind of like feeling I was failing and not really, getting anything done.
There's no way you could read every bill.
That's what she said. What you need to do is focus on your district and you need to focus on your 4 committees that you're on, and focus on those, and it'll get a lot easier to do your job.
What are the 4 committees?
I had the aging committee, which I didn't even know much about, but I tell you, I got involved in that, and I love it. I'm hoping I'll be back if I come back next year.
Well, you're an expert. You're aging, just like everybody else, right?
I'm up in the years. You know, it fits me perfectly.
Well, that's not what I meant. I meant all of us are aging.
Oh yeah. And then I was on the ag finance. That was a really, really fun committee to be on. All the different things that are going on. There's a million moving pieces to that puzzle as well. And then I was on the legacy committee, and then on the higher ed committee. And my sister co-chaired the higher ed committee, so it was nice to be on a committee with her. And I thought on all those committees, you know, aging committee, we have like 135 million added to the base for senior care. And it's not a 5% on the top, it's they actually adding to the base, which could be huge. I mean, the senior living in the south side of Faribault, the last spreadsheet I looked at, they'll be getting about a little over 14% increase in funding. St. Lucas is going to get about a 20% increase in funding. So our goal was to make sure that if we have a person who's starting there, like maybe at $9 or $10 an hour, that now they'll be making maybe $12, $13, $14 an hour, and they won't be losing these employees to, I mean, we've lost them to Arby's, you know, they're paying like $14 an hour now. We've lost really good people that, yeah. I got my son's, one of his friends from school is a manager there. He's making about 14 an hour. So our goal is just to keep the employees there that want to be there, give them a decent wage so they don't have to go looking for something else. And I think this bill, I call it the John 316 bill. It was a House File 316, and Chair Schumacher did a wonderful job crafting the bill together. And
that was a little play off John 316 or what?
Yep, off of John 316. Yep. So it kind of fit. We were doing something really, really caring for the elderly, and I thought that was a kind of a good nickname for it.
Well, Faribault Care Center, of course, was taken over by the state.
Yeah. Still in limbo. The last email I got from the folks with the state there is they're taking over just as a precaution, and the owners are going to try to sell it. So there's quite a few options on the table. They can maybe sell it to another owner. They could actually close it down if they want to do that. That's why they wanted to jump in and take over the operation of it right away, so that nobody was in danger of not being there at work or not taking care of the clients there. So, but that's still in limbo. I haven't heard anything for about a week on that.
Well, if they were to close it, there's no way they could be absorbed in the other nursing homes in town.
Yeah, that'd be a tough one. We're gonna have to find out who's got rooms available, and we haven't gotten to there because it didn't sound like this was going to be something done right away. I think what I remember reading was that they're considering selling, and as soon as that was in the public, the red flag went up, which is good. That's what they're there for, to go and protect the clients at the nursing homes there. So, yeah, a little scary, but I think it's going to be all right. I'm especially with this bill being passed to increase the funding to nursing care. I've got a good feeling that they may change their mind to sell, or if somebody else is thinking about buying it, that might change their mind about actually putting it.
Well, will the state allow them to do that though?
I believe so.
I mean, change their mind because they took over,
Right, because they were going to sell it. Yeah. That I don't know. I haven't had conversations with the state or the owner of it, so I'll probably have to find out some more details in the next couple of weeks here.
No, it's understandable. Speaking of that, you said the aging committee.
Yep.
Have you ever discussed this moratorium on nursing home beds in our state? Because we're of the vintage that if the good Lord lets us live long enough, we may need one of those beds, and the baby boomer generation's pretty big.
Yeah. That a lot of talk on getting more beds available. The moratorium's going to have to be lifted, I would think, or at least changed, because right now, I think the last survey I saw, we have as many seniors as we do children and K through 12.
Well, frankly, don't understand the moratorium, because nobody's going to put an additional wing on a nursing home if they can't fill the beds, right?
Yep, exactly, exactly.
Is that kind of common sense?
Yep, yep, and I think that's going to change. That'll be probably in our next session. We get a chance to go over that a little bit. That was not part of our conversation during the committee meetings, but it's certainly something that we got to deal with, because the next 10 years, there's going to be, the baby boomers are going to be hitting that age where they may need to be in assisted living, or, you know, like St. Luke's, or senior living, or something like that. So we definitely need to address the bed issue.
Yeah.
I know there's just a little bit of conversation about that in the last session, but that's going to probably be our big push for next session, is see if we can get more beds available.
Yeah, which would require, of course, as you mentioned, a lifting of the moratorium.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I'm not familiar with how that moratorium works. I don't know what we'd have to do as a legislature to change it, but we've got some people there that have been doing this quite a while, and I'm sure they've got a plan. I just haven't talked to them personally about this moratorium issue.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's big, and I know we went through it in my family. My mom ended up going, because we're from Spring Valley, Minnesota, and the nursing home was full there. She ended up having to go to Preston, which is 15 miles away. Yeah. You go into a nursing home where you don't know anybody. If you're in your hometown, small town, you pretty much know everybody in a small town, right?
Exactly, exactly. I went through the same thing with my mother-in-law. She's from Roseau, and all the beds were full right in Roseau. And it was 2 blocks from her home was the
yeah, same with my mom. It was just a couple blocks.
Yeah, and everything was full, so she had to go to Greenbush, and you know, didn't know anybody there. And then you know, just for her, my sister-in-law and brother-in-law still live in Roseau, so instead of going like a block or two to visit, or maybe a mile or two to visit, now they had to drive to Greenbush, which makes it harder to get there to visit every day, or, you know, 2 or 3 times a week. So yeah, I'd like to see that moratorium change to because there's going to be an influx in the next 5 to 10 years. There's going to be a huge influx.
Well, we got to plan for it too. You know,
exactly.
We can't build these things overnight.
Yep, exactly.
So I guess it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And
Yeah.
as I said before, you're not going to add a wing if you're not going to fill the beds.
Exactly.
That's the bottom line.
Yep, I did talk to the administrator of senior living. That's the newer one on the south end of town, and Callista is the administrator. And her company was talking about maybe building a new facility right where the old Kmart used to be down there. So.
But that would be assisted living, right?
Be assisted living, and then I think right now they've got a variety of care going on at senior living. They've got a wing for the Alzheimer's portion, and then one for assisted living. It's just a beautiful facility. We got a chance to tour and talk to some of the residents, and it's just a really well-run, nice facility. And she answers to a board of directors, and if they can start not losing money every year, it's only about 3 years old, the owners are thinking about expanding. So that would open up quite a few beds, and I'd sure be willing to, you know, do some work on my end to make sure we can get that done. Love to see investment variable, you know, something that gives good jobs to the area and provides a good service for our seniors.
Yep, went through that with Dad too. Now that I think about it, he ended up going to Grand Meadow because the nursing home was filled in Spring Valley. So, you know, it's just tough, especially in the small towns. We go to some strange town, and it's bad enough to have to go to a nursing home, let's be honest. Yeah. To end up going somewhere where you don't know anybody makes it doubly worse.
Exactly, exactly.
And we would love to keep our people here, we could.
Yeah, exactly.
To another topic though, the special legislative session, do you think that the governor's going to get his goal of coming in next week and finishing it up in a day or two?
Boy, that's a tough one to predict. I just got an email from Representative Runbeck, and she had mentioned how during the last week or so, all the targets, all the goals seem to change all the time. Now they wanted to add like $600 million to pre-K, and I think the last negotiated one, we actually finalized the bill. It was very bipartisan. It was I think everybody worked together really well, and Now that target went from 400 million additional money to 600 million additional money. So it's going to be tough if all these targets and things, conversation keep changing.
But that was originally what he had proposed, right?
Well, originally what everybody proposed was 1% the first year, 1% the second year. That's what the DFL controlled Senate proposed, and that's what the governor proposed. By the time we got done negotiating with the give and take process, it was at 1.5% the first year and 2% the second year for the formula. So I was happy to see that, because I really didn't want to. We knew we didn't want to live what we had suggested. We knew that was a low number, but in the power, or the way that you do your negotiating with the other house is you have to bring the numbers up, and we knew the numbers would go up, and we're happy with where the numbers are now. I think it's pretty respectable. I think I was talking to our superintendent. My name slipped me, but I was talking to him about a week ago, and
Sesker?
yes, Todd Sesker, thank you. He thought that around 2% would be something they could live with without hopefully any layoffs or anything like that. Of course, you always want more money for education. That's just a given. There's never enough to go around. I'd like to see more funding to it, but at the amount of the budget it is right now, it's pretty tough to have a big increase. I think the last number I saw was about $17 billion for the education part of the budget.
Isn't that amazing?
It's crazy. It's crazy, the numbers.
And the total budget is how much? Just ballpark.
We are looking at spending about $41.5 billion.
And $17 billion of that is for education.
Yeah.
E through 12.
Yeah. And the other bigger part is actually health and human services.
Oh yeah.
That's a big part of it. Yeah, they're just mind-boggling numbers, and when a guy like me who fights for every dollar looks at those numbers that we have in the budget, it's a little overwhelming. You put that many zeros behind a number, and that's what you're negotiating with.
Were you in the Republican camp that wanted to give the money back?
Definitely.
The surplus we're talking.
Yeah, we had a $2 billion surplus, and our feeling was since the last biennium, I believe the taxes were raised about 17%, and what we want to do is basically give any surplus back in tax credits. It would have been for student loans, it would have been for property tax relief. I didn't realize it, but Minnesota is one of the only states in the nation that charges a property tax, state property tax on businesses. And so it wasn't, I know in the original proposal was to do away with the property tax of any building, business building that's valued up to $500,000. So basically, we're looking for the small business owner to give him some tax relief, and it was too bad because we really had to hold our guns on the proposed gasoline tax that the governor Dayton wants to add, and the Senate wanted to add. They wanted to add like a 6% wholesale gas tax. But at the time we did the math, gas was about $2.20 a gallon. That would have added about $1.1 billion in new taxes. And when your economy is just starting to come back, you've got people that are normally spending $300-400 a month on gasoline. Now they're spending about $100 less, from that $4, per gallon gas. I think that's why the economy perked up, is because now people have an extra maybe $100 in their pocket every month that's not going to fill up their gas tank. Now, at the current price of about $2.64 in town, I think we calculated out that tax would equal to about 30 cents a gallon. So we would have been about $3 a gallon right now. And I just think people need that relief. They need that flexibility in their budget so they can, maybe they can go buy a new furniture set, or maybe they can go buy, a new TV, or just kind of get a breath, just take a breath if they're not struggling every single month. And I think that was the largest part of the economy turning around, is people had a little extra cash in their pocket, and they spent it, and that was a lot of sales tax revenue from that.
Have you read the veto letter from the governor on the ags or the jobs bills? Because I'm just questioning why he vetoed the ag bill, for example.
I
don't think it was about the buffer, right? That he wanted the 50-foot buffer.
Well, I think he was willing to accept a compromise, but I think that might be part of it. I didn't get a chance to see the letter. I was looking on my emails, and I don't have a letter from Governor Dayton.
Well, doggone, you should have.
I really should have. I flabbergasted I don't have it.
I would think they'd put that in every legislator's box, a veto letter, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, yeah. But we were at so many town hall meetings, there wasn't anybody either on the ag department or any of the farmers unions that even came close to agreeing to the 50-foot buffer. They all agreed that there needs to be a buffer in place, and there already is current law, which is what our bill kind of does. It takes current law and it gives a little bit more flexibility. So current law is like 16.5 feet from the water's edge to the end of the buffer. And I listened to many farmers that said, I might not even need 16.5 feet, depends on the slope and everything, but he says, on other parts of my property, I might need 150 feet of a buffer to really make it work. So we were looking at giving the local water boards flexibility to do that, have maybe a 16.5 as a minimum, and then at their discretion they can go larger. But nobody agreed that I talked to that a 50-foot across the board would ever be feasible. It just doesn't make any sense. One size just doesn't fit all. That was brought up time and time again.
Any idea why you vetoed the jobs bill?
That I'm perplexed on. It was a bipartisan jobs bill. We did not get near what we wanted, and then the DFL side did not get what they wanted, totally. So I think it was a pretty good compromise, and I'm flabbergasted at that one too. Those are two really good bipartisan bills. That one of the things I read from one of the emails from one of our reps was they thought this was the most bipartisan year working together with the legislature.
But now it doesn't look that way because you're going into a special session.
Yeah. And
I mean, isn't it simply, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but isn't Governor Dayton just pretty much saying it's my way or the highway?
That's what I read out of it. It's I've read a lot of articles, and it refers to one quote I saw was he's taking his ball and bat and going home. Didn't get his way, so he's just going to leave. And
he doesn't have to worry about being reelected,
Yeah, exactly. And I just think that's really childish and really, I mean, if you care about your state, I don't know how you could be doing this at this time.
Well, and then he flat out came out and said Republicans don't care about public education.
Yeah, that is, I've seen a lot of articles in rebuttal of that, and that is just totally not the case. I've even had them smear ads already on the Facebook that Representative Daniels doesn't care for schools. And I tell you, Representative Lewin was the head of the chair of the K through 12, and she worked so well with both sides of the aisle to come up with a bipartisan plan that would make it easier for the schools to operate, easier for them to hire teachers. I mean, there are so many good parts to this bill, and then to have it go to the governor, and the only thing that he wants out of it is universal pre-K. Now, we already had $60 million in the budget for scholarships for pre-K. That was already in the budget. I've talked to a couple different superintendents and a few teachers. Number one, if they do universal pre-K, they don't have the room and they don't have the teachers to do it. So I don't know why the governor's pushing this so hard when the schools really can't facilitate it.
Yeah. Well, I've plumb run out of time. We got to get you on again because I want to talk about the whole legislative process. I had Minority Leader Thiessen on with us, and kind of drives me crazy that they wait till the last hours of the session to pass these bills. But can you come back on here in the next couple of weeks?
Oh, definitely. Be happy to.